Hey, it's Punxsutawney Phil and I, and we're here again in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, and I'm going to read you a story called Groundhog Day. Phil, you can... Oh, he jumped. Phil can sit here. The real Phil is awake, so if you see him, let me know. This is a ready-to-read Robin Hill school book called Groundhog Day by Margaret McNamara and illustrated by Mike Gordon. Here he is! Hi, Phil! I think he likes Storytime. There's the title page, Groundhog Day. And another one. This is an Aladdin Paperbacks publication. One morning, Mrs. Connor wrote a poem on the blackboard. If the sun shines bright on Groundhog Day, the sun will swirl until it is May. If the sun blows hard on Groundhog Day, the sun will shine before it is May. Today is February 2nd, said Mrs. Connor. You know what February 2nd is? Winter began 6 weeks ago. February 2nd is Groundhog Day. Winter will end 6 weeks from now. We are halfway through winter. But what is Groundhog Day? Asked Ayana. Jamie raised his hand. If on this day, Jamie said, a groundhog can see his shadow, we will have 6 more weeks of winter. But if a groundhog cannot see his shadow, then spring will come soon. That is crazy, said Michael. Crazy but fun, said Mrs. Connor. Mrs. Connor set a small cage on her desk. Is that a groundhog? Said Hannah. No, said Becky, that is a hamster. His name is Chester, said Mrs. Connor. He will be our groundhog today. There's Chester. He looks a lot like Phil, doesn't he? Mrs. Connor took Chester to the windowsill. Chester will see his shadow for sure, said Riza. I do not want any more winter, said Emma. Mrs. Connor opened the door to Chester's cage. Chester looked up and sniffed. Chester slipped out of his cage. He looked around. No shadow, cried Katie. No more winter, said Emma. Chester is not always right, said Mrs. Connor. But that year, that bright sunny year, he was... That's the end of the Robin Hill school book called Groundhog Day. I guess Phil probably went back to sleep. He loves sleeping. Thanks for coming to Storytime today. Bye.